With Investing News Network. Here today with me is Thom Calandra of the Calandra Report.
Oh, hi Melissa, how you doing?
Good. Now I read about your visit to Newrange Gold's Pamlico property in Nevada, and you mentioned after the visit you'd be adding more shares to your holdings of Newrange Gold. What are you most excited about in terms of that project?
Well, you know, Bob Carrington and Gloria Carrington are the people who own the company, so that's important to me, right? I'm more of a people person, but I like the fact that it's high-grade gold, and they're what you call twinning. I call it fraternal twinning. The drill holes that the previous owner put in there about 5 years ago. And it's extreme high-grade gold in a part of the Great Basin of Nevada that could show, you know, 3, 4, 5 ounces per ton of gold. And if that's correct, and we see that happen, and the numbers come out over the next 3 to 4 to 5 weeks into the summer of 2017, I think the stock will keep moving from the 30 cent, 35 cent Canadian level to 45, 50 cents, right? Now remember, I used to own this company when Newrange used to be Colombian Goldfields. And Colombian still has assets in Colombia that Bob and Gloria are right now in discussions to sell or joint venture. So it's a two-part thing. People in Vancouver, where we're sitting today, Melissa, are very much invested in the company. Golden Predator, which is another very successful high-grade gold company in the Yukon. They're an investor in Newrange. I'm a believer. You know, as much as I can be a believer, it's probably one of my top 3 high-grade exploration plays.
And so I noticed on your website as well, it mentions that you visit a lot of these properties, about 40 of them around the world every year. It's probably safe to say that most investors don't actually get that close to the decision makers and the actual projects. Can you talk about what you look for in a typical site visit?
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you asked this question because I saw you in the audience there earlier, and I decided just to do a rougher kind of images from Nevada and Mexico presentation instead of, you know, the usual PowerPoint fact. And if you can see the photos, you know that there's a lot of high desert, there's some low desert, there are mountain peaks, right? You can be underground, you can be overground, you can be in a helicopter, you can be in the Yukon, you can be in Nevada, Ghana, right, the former Gold Coast. You can be in Cambodia. These are all places that have gold, copper, silver. You can be in South Africa, in the DRC Congo with copper and zinc. But, you know, for me, after I've gotten past the people quotient, because I've been burned so many times in the past 25 years by not getting close enough to who the people are, Melissa, you have to remember, you're a lot younger than I am. And when you get to be my age, 1, you make every mistake in the book, and 2, you meet everyone, the good, the bad, and the not so handsome, right? And those good, bad, and not so handsome folks out there, even the good people sometimes make mistakes. I at least have to know that the people I'm involved with are professional, that they're competent, that they're thorough, that they have good hiring practices, and good, what I call publishing practices or disclosure practices. People call this corporate governance. After you get from that, you know, you get into more, you know, touchy-feely things. I'm not the technical geologist writer that we have out there in Canada that others are. I'm not a geologist, but I've written about geology for 20 years. For me, do I need to see the core? No. Do I need to see that a company is sticking to its game plan when it comes to the publication of assays? Yes. Why? Because mostly I'm an exploration investor. Do I own companies that produce? Yes, I happen to be lucky enough to own 1 or 2 companies that produce. It's a whole different set of questions, right? Then it comes down to safety, the safety of the mine. I guess, you know, Melissa, when you're on site, you're bombarded with information. Most geologists say they're going to keep you for a day, and they wind up keeping you for 2 days or 3 days, and you're surrounded by a coterie of other geologists, right, who are asking very smart questions. I need to see the exploration program, how that program became a program, who picked out the drill targets, why those drill targets came into being. Is this a new deposit or is it an old deposit? Are there early indications, if it's a true mine, of what the timeline is to a feasibility or a pre-feasibility or an economic assessment? I need to know, and this is where I get burned all the time, I need to know where the money's coming from and how that money is going to dilute us as shareholders, which almost always happens, and how that dilution will be accretive, which, by the way, the CEOs and the CFOs and the geologists will always tell you, of course it's going to be accretive, and almost never is, right? So, you know, you have to be a financier, you have to be part geologist, you have to be, I would have to say, a part closeologist and see what's in the region. You have to know that the people are engaged in excellent, groundbreaking practices, whether it's the magnetics, the air surveys, the IP studies, the geochemical and geophysical studies. These are all things that these so-called experts have to take you through, even if it takes hours and hours. And if they take the time to take me through them and make me understand them in a way that makes me believe there's value, as in this company is undervalued, this exploration prospect is undervalued, then I'll take a stake in the company.
And it's not a bad time to be visiting gold properties. Gold's been rallying for the past couple of weeks. Can you talk about your predictions for the gold price?
Yeah, I like to say that probably the biggest mistake I've made in 35 years of covering markets and writing about markets for newspapers, for magazines, for MarketWatch.com and CBS Market Watch, for the Calandra Report and the CCR Network is trying to predict the future, right? When we're young, it's kind of an ego thing. It's an adrenaline, testosterone-driven, I'm going to tell you exactly where the gold price is going to be tomorrow, the platinum price. These days, you know, I look back and I say, I wish I hadn't been so definite in my forecasts. I remember in 2001 saying that the gold price is going to go over $500 or $400 an ounce. I was in London at the time, working on our European product at the Financial Times, saying I'm going to dye my hair gold. And it actually happened, and I had to come home with my hair dyed gold. And I got my hair dyed gold on in the Camden, right, in London. These days I have a worldview, and that worldview is that right now commodities are in this middling phase after going too high. They haven't crashed yet here in 2017, but if you look at the price of the industrial metals like zinc, nickel, copper, tin, and tungsten, steel, iron ore, and if you look at the precious metals, my favorites being gold, platinum, palladium, and then to a lesser extent silver, you see that we're at a kind of like a waiting point, right? So I think the summer and the fall are going to be glorious. I really do. And I think everything that's leveraged to gold, everything, that while the institutions, the big Van Ex of the world and their indexes continue and ETFs continue to move away from the junior exploration companies, that's a mistake. I think the junior exploration companies, the junior production companies that are all levered to the prices of their underlying commodities are going to go through the roof again and again and again over the next few years.
Right, and so you mentioned some other commodities as well, zinc and palladium. Moving away from gold, do you have any other companies that you're interested in terms of other commodities?
Yeah, I'm into some very esoteric companies, but of course the lead one is Ivanhoe, right? I mean, I love Ivanhoe. I've been an investor in Ivanhoe mines, not the Ivanhoe mines that became Oyu Tolgoi in Mongolia, although I was familiar with that, but the Ivanhoe mines that owns the copper and the zinc in the DRC Congo, and the platinum palladium on the Platte Reef. Okay, I want to say it's a $3 billion company. IVN in Toronto is the So that's an easy one, right? That's a flagship for me. But some of the lesser known ones, obviously Newrange Gold on the exploration side. I own a small tin company, tin, T-I-N.
Yeah.
Tin was an element, who knew, right? Called Casbah. It trades in Australia. Casbah, K-A-S-B-A-H, but the actual tin product and project is in Morocco, of all places. What are some other esoteric, unknown things I own? Pasinex. Pasinex really needs a little marketing push here, but the stock has been terrific. It's an actual producing zinc company in Turkey. PSX on the CSC. It also trades in Germany, where 80% of its trading is. And I like it because it's actually profitable. It's truly profitable zinc production, direct shore shipping of ore. So you got Pasinex. I've mentioned Riverside over the years, and Riverside's my favorite. Riverside and Eurasian are my two favorite, what you'd call prospect generators, you know. I own some companies that have done terribly. I own Golden Predator in the Yukon, which will, continue to have news throughout the summer of high-grade gold. I own 35 companies, not counting the blue chips that we own thanks to my wife having inherited a very nice portfolio of companies from her father. But, life is good right now. I write about it for the TCR network. If it's an obscure exploration play, I probably own it. And I happen to be very hot right now in Nevada, Ghana. I still own Angkor Gold in Cambodia and have high hopes for that. And I have high hopes for a few of the things that I own in Quebec, right? Abitibi Royalties, Alexandria Minerals is a good one, that's cheap, and they're in Quebec, along the Abitibi Gold Belt. I own graphite in Quebec. Graphite's a metal that goes into batteries, lithium-ion batteries. I own Nouveau-Mont. Nouveau-Mont is a very little-known graphite company that I think is going to get bought in the next 6 to 9 months. NOU trades in Canada, obviously on the venture.
Great. And my last question is a bit of a fun one. So you've traveled around, you've obviously seen a lot of things. Is there an experience that stands out to you or a moment that you would like to share?
Well, I'll tell you something. It's having my wallet returned to me and my passport returned to me whenever, like I'm in Colombia. Like, I lived in Medellin, in Colombia, as an English teacher a very long time ago. I'm not going to tell you because I'll be embarrassed to say how long ago. And I return there regularly. People have this vision of Colombia being dangerous. It's not. It's the kindest, nicest place in the world. And being as forgetful as I am, I've lost my wallet once and my passport twice in Colombia. And I've actually had people chase me down or return those things to me in Medellin, in Colombia, right? Either the next day or that same evening. And it's a beautiful thing when that happens. It's also happened to me in Phnom Penh, in Cambodia, and I swear, I don't know, I get this kind of rush. One, because I realize how lucky I am for being such a klutz, and two, because I get to be in some of these beautiful places and not have to look through the tint of media, of which I was one and now no longer am. And Melissa, I want to say I'm sorry to bombard you with all these names.
That's totally fine. Anyways, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you. I always enjoy being with the Investing News Network. You guys give me a great ride.
Great, thank you.